WBNG's High School Championship Bowling is brought to you by Canada Dry Bottling Company, Pudgy's Pizza, the Pocket Billiard Lounge, Botnick Chevrolet, the Law Office of Ronald Benjamin, and Bert's of Endicott.
Good evening and welcome once again to Binghamton State Bowling Center. I'm Mitch Gross and you are with the TB12 High School Bowling Championships, the boys division this week, and once again back with me, a member of the Endicott Bowling Hall of Fame, and as I said last week, the driving force behind these championships, Chuck Bowman. Chuck, we had the best of the young ladies last week. We're expecting the best of the young men tonight.
Well, you could say that again. I wonder if there's ever a peak for scoring for the boys. This year we had record shot individually, combination. These four young fellas coming out here and bowling today on our TV match averaged 215 for 40 games. So there is no clear-cut favorite at all. Each one of them averaged over 210. So I think it's going to be not only exciting, I am looking for some good scores here tonight. So I'm ready to go.
Okay, once again, this is strictly amateur. This is sanctioned by the Young America Bowling Alliance, and everything's to the letter.
Absolutely, and that's very important, and we mention it time and time again, but it keeps their amateur status, and some of these young fellas may be going away to school, as some of our other bowlers have, so that is important.
Okay, they may be amateur, but we think they're the best, and we'd like to introduce you to our semifinalists.
From Shenango Forks, Mike Richard. From Susquehanna Valley, James Sarr. From Afton, Dan Williamson. From Union Endicott, Kevin Watkins. From Elmira, Danny Fish Jr. From Binghamton, Tony Schuba. From Johnson City, Tony Olsa. From Binghamton, Darrell Seaman. From Susquehanna, Colby Wood. From Binghamton, Tim McNeil. From Elmira, Bob Naprava. And from Sayre, Kevin Madigan. And now our four finalists. From Binghamton, Tim Lee. From Union Endicott, Fran Exley. From Norwich, Brian Loomis. And from Union Endicott, Scott O'Connor.
Our first match this evening, Binghamton's Tim Lee versus Union Endicott's Fran Exley. We'll have that for you in just a moment. Match this evening, Binghamton's Tim Lee, only a sophomore. Fran Exley's Union Endicott. Senior.
Tim, left-hander, Mitch, our only left-hander in the field, including last week's girls match. Nice start. Well,
and Tim starts off cranking.
I don't think I go out very much on a limb when I talk about the boys here. Are going to have some good scores, Mitch. Tim Lee averaged 208 for his 10 games. Fran Exley coming up here now averaged 214. So we've got boys that exactly can throw those big scores. They know exactly what to do with the bowling ball. Little light for Fran. Our bucket.
2, 4, 5, 8.
Fran lists that he has his highest series 740, and Mitch, that came in our qualifying round here. So he's had some outstanding scores during this tournament. Coming in nicely. Oh, that can happen on that sleeper pin behind there. Again, our lanes are freshly oiled. They'll be a little bit tight maybe in the beginning, and then they'll loosen up as the lights will dry out the oil. Moving over to lane 15.
Once again, it's UE senior Fran Exley you're looking at now versus Binghamton sophomore Tim Lee. Our first matchup this evening.
Keep the ball out far in the alley, just like that, just like that. That's what'll be happens. The action. Like we said it last week and say it again. Secret here and many bowling establishments this year is loft the ball out a little bit to get past that heavy header oil. Tim Lee coming from the left side. Threw that ball out nicely. 8-pin.
Leaves the 8. Tim, the only one in our boys finals with a 4-step approach. Everybody else takes 5.
That's very interesting. You picked that one up. 4 is more common, so not so in our finalist here. He's had a 719 series. 290 is his highest game, so he knows how to put the strikes together. Oh, he hooked by that one. All right, that makes the match virtually even. Tim really, if you'll notice, does what I say, cranks the ball, Mitch. I mean, he really gives it a lot of wrist action. If you get a good shot of that, you'll see a tremendous turn at his wrist.
Both using 16-pound balls.
Nice comeback. There's your shot.
Unbelievable hook.
Very good. Yes, as they say, that's the crank kind of style. And you'll see him more so than some of our other bowlers here today.
He, as you say, rides the rails for a couple seconds there, and then it just bends right in.
Fran Exley knocked off Tony Olsa of Johnson City, and he did the damage on Tim McNeil. Tim McNeil bowling superbly, ran into Fran and lost. All right, leaving the 8-pin. Fran started with a 268 against Tim, and that's what really put the pressure, and was a tough match for Tim, but Fran did the high scoring. Good shot.
And he picks up a spare in the 3rd frame. Let's take a quick timeout here. We'll be back in a moment. Bowling Center of the boys finals of the TB12 High School Bowling Championship. You know, I've been thinking about last week's question. I guess we ought to review that for those who may have missed it last week concerning bowling balls. And this is your stumper of the year.
Stumper of the year for you, and I'll bet you a lot of other people. Oh boy. Now that one he pushed out there too far. Left himself a washout with some company.
All right, you asked me last week, what is the legal limit, the number of holes you can drill in a bowling ball?
Right.
And I'll still think about that, and I'll get back to you later in the show.
There is a limit.
There is a limit.
This could be a nice shot if you could pull this one off. No. All right, those 2 frames not helping Tim's cause. 112 through the 7th. Now Fran can take the lead with any kind of a mark here in his 7th frame on lane 16. Scratch bowling again, Mitch. Purpose, we want to get the best. And that's the only way to do it, is to have no handicap, a totally scratch tournament. Cross it over. All right, 7.
You know, you mentioned scratch tourney. It's head-to-head competition. That's the way to do it. That's the way we have found best over these. This is our 6th year of this.
The qualifying round, they just bowl 6 games for score. Then we cut the field to school groupings, and we break them into school groupings so that we get big representations of different schools. We had 8 school groupings, and then we have our wild cards. As we see Fran shoot the spare. Nice shot.
Well done.
Then they go 2 head-to-head matches, 2 games, total wood, and that's significantly different than anything they have experienced in any of their leagues, any of their high school bowling. If they're on teams, there's nobody to help you. You're all alone, and that's what they're doing right here. And that's the reason we do that. So before they get to the show, they've had some experience with this head-to-head competition. Fran has taken a slim lead here. All right, got a lot of wood on that hit. And he's taken an 8-pin lead.
Leaves that 2.
Now, as we noticed last week in the girls' match, they were coming up a little bit light. The boys are coming up a little bit light.
Yeah, they were coming up light on 16.
Yeah. Again, from the right side, if they moved a little bit to the right, it would help them. Good spare here. Yes. All right.
UE's Fran Exley. And once again, Binghamton's Tim Lee.
sanctioned by YBA. You mentioned that too, Mitch. Again,
Right.
scholarships go into an escrow fund to be held until they graduate. Now, I mentioned Fran's excessive speed might hurt him a little bit. Now I'd have to tell you, I think Tim has slowed up a little bit to the point that ball has been cranked and is hooking too much for him. So,
Okay, he has a 2, 4, and 7 now.
again, can be a difficult shot. We'll watch how it's made here. Nice shot, though.
Well done. Less of a hook that time, obviously.
Say, it's easy to sit back here and see what you could do to just make it a little bit easier. But
That's
then
why
you gotta
some of us are
execute.
here.
As I say, just take a look at the scores these fellows have shot. 208 average for 10 games for Tim. Outstanding. Now, notice that was a little bit faster. Good or better ball. 9-pin count.
Leaves the 6.
Important for him to get the spare as he'll sit down and then watch Fran Exley finish out the match. He can make this, which he has done. He will still keeps the pressure on Fran. He will have to do some good bowling here in the 9th and 10th if he'd like to close him out. He'll have to put some strikes together to close him out, as Tim could possibly go to 181. Little extra time that time, a little bit crossing over. He got it.
That pays off.
It pays off, he's right. Brad obviously has chosen to make sure he's up near that head pin and therefore crossed over, and that's fine. You can get the right angle, which he just did. You can knock 10 pins down that way too. As he comes up in the 10th now, he could close out Tim with 2 strikes, but he needs 2 strikes.
Taking his time again.
All right, just throwing it out there. All right, light again. Very, very important spare.
2 and 8.
Right, he can't close him out, but the spare, Mitch, will make Tim Lee get 2 strikes versus just having to get a mark.
So basically, if I can't do it, go ahead, you prove it to me, then you can do it.
Right, you got it. This is a difficult spare. Under pressure, I repeat myself, the pressure is very much out there. If you've never had this head-to-head competition, you've never been on television, amateurs, you've said it before, Mitch, remember that. This is pressure, and the boys all feel it. The strike will be very important. The count is extremely important. That's it. Wow.
180.
180 for Fran. Tim Lee needs 3 consecutive strikes to win the first game. He's still alive, but he has to have every pin on every shot.
Sophomore has quite a cheering section here, too. He brought along with him this evening.
Coming back, number 1. Number 1 needs 2 more. Next one's the big one, and we could go to a tie, Mitch. We have never had one, but we're facing it.
And if we go to a tie, once again, we will re-bowl frames number 9 and 10.
Right. Big shot here. He threw the ball nice. Oh, too bad.
Oh.
It came in a little light, little light. Tim Lee gave it a good try. Going to finish with most likely a 170 game here. All right, didn't get those pins. 169.
169. So Fran Exley moves into our final round. Coming up next, Norwich's Brian Loomis versus UE Scott O'Connor. We'll have that for you in a moment.
Hi, Phil Rizzuto here for Botnick Chevrolet. No matter where you bought your Chevy car or truck, depend on Botnick Service Department for maintenance and repairs. To get your job done right, Botnick has the latest equipment for testing and repair. And to get it done on time, Botnick keeps the largest Chevy parts inventory in this region. Get your service done right and get it done on time at Botnick Service Department.
We prove our
matchup this evening, the TB12 High School Bowling Championship Boys Division. This is Norwich senior Brian Loomis versus Union Endicott senior Scott O'Connor. Loomis again starting on 15.
Right, Mitch, and again, scoring-wise, two bowlers who bowl superb. Brian Loomis averaged 210 plus in his 10 games, so starting on lane 50, let's see how we can go. All right, just a little light. We've had this
so many times.
Right. Tough spare, and we've made it, I think, the participants most of the time. Brian coming down from Norwich, one of our new high schools represented this year, and making it all the way here to our TV finals. Knocked off Dan Williamson from Afton, Colby Wood from Susquehanna to get this far. Well, it takes the back one, which is unusual, but...
All right, this is UE's Scott O'Connor. The winner of this matchup will face UE's Fran Exley in the final of the finals.
Mitch, Scott O'Connor in our tournament had a new record for 10 games, averaged 228.3. That is a new record for our tournament. Nice shot. In the semifinal round, Scott had two matches, Mitch, bowled a 475 and a 472 for an average of 236.
You know, these numbers you're throwing me are phenomenal this year.
Yes,
Are they getting stronger?
Well,
they're just getting better.
Gets better, and again, the coaching, the enthusiasm that the young players demonstrate really shows up in the results. Now, that one was a little bit light, threw that one out.
Right.
Shade too far, got that washout again.
I think he knew it as soon as he walked away, too. 1, 2, and 10.
Let's see if he can slide this over. Difficult spare. Try to slide that one pin over into the 10. Scott beat Denny Fish Jr. from Elmira and Kevin Madigan from Sayre. Also, Sayre New High School. Close. There's your number, boy. Close and counts. Nice shot for Scott. Now, Brian Loomis's numbers are nothing to take a back seat at or sneeze at, Mitch. Averaging again, as like I said, 210. Threw that ball out nicely. It's coming in a little light, though. Oh, boy, that's a real tough. He's got the 2-8 with the company over there.
2-8 and 10, right.
That is not impossible, but extremely rare that you see this made, especially if you're a right-hander here. Extremely difficult. The only real hope you'd have is to hit the 2 into the 8, bounce it off, and it's just difficult. Best thing he could do, I think, would be to get those 2 pins. Make sure he keeps the count up. The count can be very important at the end. All right, I'll take one.
Took the 2.
17. All right, Brian, not yet got his game going. Difficult to get yourself started on this head-to-head competition. First time on television. You kind of wonder when it's over. You know, you think back and wish you did something different. Always the boys and girls tell me that, but it shows you.
If I only fill in the blank.
But that's what makes the show and the whole tournament so interesting. Ah, there you go.
That's the way to bounce back.
That's the way. Threw it out just a shade farther, lofted it out there, got the turn on it.
Loomis from Norwich, O'Connor from UE. The winner plays Fran Exley from UE.
Again, our scholarship fund will certainly help these young people go away to whatever.
$300 scholarship for first place, $200 for second place, and of course trophies, plaques for all.
All right, Scott seems to have that lane 16 down. It's a question now whether he'll make a little adjustment on 15 here. Interesting shot here. He had the washout, remember, on his last shot. Had his high series 745.
Unbelievable.
They get bigger and bigger. Fingertip ball, 5 steps in his approach. Full 16-pound ball. 3 holes in his ball, Mitch.
I'm keeping that under consideration, thank you.
Nice shot. Yes, sir. There's your double. All right. Now, Brian is going to have to get himself going. This will be a very important shot for him. because Scott seems to have lined himself up. So Brian needs to line himself up at 16 and start throwing his strikes. It's got one working. Threw that one out nicer. Another good shot.
We have ourselves a match, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Honor of Union Endicott, Mitch Gross and Chuck Bowman here at the State Bowling Center in Binghamton. And as I said, going into our break, this is a match and a half we have right now.
Got it. Fingertip ball for Scott. He's getting excellent action on his ball today. All right. Brian is not out of this match, but needs to start to put the strikes back together.
Needs those X's now.
Yeah. Got to have them now. One game, Mitch, is also tough, you know. One head-to-head, and it's sometimes doesn't always show the ability of all of our bowlers. So viewers, keep that in mind. Tough shot.
This will be tough.
Yep. Very important. This could be it for Brian if he can't convert this, and it is a difficult conversion.
1, 2, 4, and 10.
But as I said, our head-to-head competition just sets it up, so that's it. Winners advance, losers are eliminated. And nice shot. What do you think of that shot? When you have to have it just to keep your slim hopes alive, you throw it and make it. Beautiful.
That was beautiful.
Now, Brian, again, setting up his 10th, needs the 9th frame strike here, Mitch, to just make Scott think about it. Without a strike here, Scott is just about home free. So a strike could make him think a little bit more. He got a strike. All right.
Now Scott will do a little thinking.
Right.
Mental game is so important as well.
You got
it. Just stepping up there and throwing.
Because Brian has a potential of 211. Scott would have to have a double to beat that. So he can close him out, but he needs X's to close him out. Scott throwing a nice ball in this leg. Oh boy.
Ooh.
Tough hit, same as we've seen Brian leave.
The 4.
Very important now to make these spares. Like I said, that setup strike that Brian got kept this match very exciting and close. Scott working at a 209 pace. Average 228. 10 games. Tremendous. He's got it. All right, here's the situation as we go into the 10th, Mitch.
Okay.
If Scott could get 2 strikes, he could close him out. If he doesn't, then Brian has still got life. So Scott knows it. He's checking the scoreboard.
And that's what he sees.
They do understand this game. Throw that ball nicely. He's got the first one. And Scott knows that Brian certainly has the potential of throwing 3 strikes, and he doesn't want that to have any chance of beating him. So you can be sure he is trying to do it here. Well, I'll double check myself, Mitch, and look to me here now. Scott is not going to need the second strike. 229 without it, so he's got it with that one. That's it. He got it anyway.
That's it. It will be an all-Union Endicott boys final this year.
That first strike was the key for Scott. Finishing up with a big game here, Mitch. 239, higher than his average for 10 games. Outstanding.
Of course, this is always the tough part for the runner-up to come up and finish off like a champion.
Yes.
But we've seen it time and time again.
All right, come in a little light there. We've had that 2-8 quite often. Brian's still going to have a respectable score here. If he can pull this in, he's going to be in the 90s, 190s. Even without it, he'll be in a respectable game. Nice shot.
Well
done. That shows you how to do it. Finish it out. That's the way to finish it out. Nice game.
191 for Brian Loomis. All right, Fran Exley versus Scott O'Connor, an all-UE final. We'll have it for you in just a moment. TB12 High School Bowling Championship Boys Division. Fran Exley of Union Endicott, Scott O'Connor of Union Endicott, both seniors and both ready to go. Here's Fran.
Teammates. Should be interesting, huh?
Teammates, right.
And both with just outstanding bowling games. Nice shot out there to start. Fran in our tournament had high games of 268, 258, Mitch, so he knows how to string the strikes too. We just saw what Scott can do.
That's right, we sure did.
This could be some match. And I'm sure both of them, good friends, just want to bowl a good game. Let the score take care of itself, but they'll both be in there trying their best.
That's right. Winner picks up a $300 scholarship plus a plaque. Winner, second place, $200 scholarship plus a plaque.
Nice shot, Scott.
Dead even to start it off.
Scott has got that alley down very well. If he can do as well on 15, and in his last game, he put 3 together there to finish that out.
Mm-hmm.
Really needed just that first one, a good count to close that first game out. He knew what he was doing better than I did. All right, coming up on 50. He threw it out nicely. But, all right, 9. That was a big pin out of there.
A lot easier.
Yes, it does. That 2-8 we've seen a lot, and we've also seen it miss. So, big pin fell. Only the 2-pin now. Scott with just outstanding bowling during our tournament. As I said, a new record for 10 games, new record for 4 games.
Yearly, we seem to have the record book rewritten here.
Boy, you sure do. All right, spare, second.
All right, now Fran Exley.
Fran bowling a 3-game series of 740 was his high during our tournament. Firing a big 268 at Tim McNeil to wrestle the match from Tim. Threw that ball out nicely, but it's crossing. All right, 310. Now, he had a little trouble with that lane in the first game and doesn't seem to quite have it down the way he has 15. So this is important, Mitch. It's slip it in between those 2 pins is the nice way, the best way, but you can make it on the outside. But let's see what Fran does with it. Nice approach.
He's elected to slip it, and it works.
You know, it's easy to coach these boys.
Absolutely.
You and I could do well here. We just have to say it. They go ahead and execute it. But it does show you, again, that they've been taught well on how to convert and how to play the game. It shows up.
One more time, of course, this is sanctioned by the Young America Bowling Alliance, strictly amateur, and it remains that way.
All the time. Amateur standings is guaranteed because we do follow the rules of the YBA. Nice shot. Threw that one out nice. As I said, he's got that lane.
Both gentlemen have great form.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to watch them.
Isn't it? It's interesting to notice, too, that obviously their games are slightly different because Scott, I think, has got lane 16 down pat, and I think Fran's got lane 15 down pat. And
so we should have an even game.
Right. It's going to be a matter who can master the lane that's given him the most trouble. Another good shot.
Oh, Oh, the 10.
Got it. A little side kicker. A love tap coming over. Those are the nice ones. Well, as I said, key here now is putting the strikes together. Lanes appear to be working slightly different. Maybe the oil has dried up a little more on one than the other. Very possible, and could be a shade different out there. Threw that ball out nicely. A little tight, a little tight. All right, match dead even.
All right, 6 and 10.
Dead even.
And once again, for clarification, if it is even after 10 frames, we will bowl the 9th and 10th over and over and over again. So we have
Over and
ourselves a
over.
winner.
You got it. Nice pair. 6-10. Scott filling the frames in. The way you're supposed to do it today. Now we'll see if Fran can master 60. He's on strike. And whoever can is going to jump out to the lead here. Now, a
This
little
will
tight.
be trouble.
That is trouble. 6, 7, 10. Not impossible, but extremely difficult. Try to slide the 6 over into the 7.
I think both men have slowed their game down, too, as
Yeah, a
we
little
get
bit.
down here into the later frames.
See what he can do with it. Count's important. How about making the spare? Whoa! How about making the spare? That's something for you to take a look at.
Whoa! That's a highlight.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, we look good here as coaches. Tell them how to make it, they walk out there and do it. Every year I'm amazed at the outstanding performance of our participants. They're just superb. The pressure, as I said, is very much on everyone, and these two participants can really feel it. They're not used to this kind of competition, especially when they're bowling against friends, teammates. I don't know how much more you could ask for pressure. Well, there he goes again. As I said, he's got that laying down pat.
You know, it's getting to the point we can just sit back and watch these two go at it. Not much more to say.
Right, you've mentioned their form, and it is just observe, because anyone, especially in their age bracket, wanting to know how to play the game, you are watching two of the best in the area. Their form is excellent. It obviously shows up in the fact that they've had good coaching. Always down at UE, coaching is superb. Scott
again.
continues. Dead even.
We are through 5 frames and dead even.
We're going at what we call a touch 200 pace here. Mitch, strike spare all the way. Someone's going to break out. I have a
There's our
feeling.
scoreboard.
Someone's going to break out. They can master the lane that they're just not striking on. Certainly not having any trouble marking, but they're not striking. Let's watch this one. There it is. All right, Scott. The first one to master his lane that he wasn't striking, put the double. Now
Now the pressure's on
the
Fran.
pressure shifts to Fran. "21 different high schools." It's interesting. Here we are down to teammate
one.
against teammate. He threw that ball out there nicely. Oh, tight again. Just a shade he's pulling it on that alley. All right.
Okay, 3, 6, and 10.
Man, he could be troublesome spare, so he's got to have this.
You know, I think it's time I answered your question.
Yes, oh, that's right. Boy, we can't forget that. How many holes maximum? Take a good shot at this one.
You know, all right, I'm going to let Mr. Rexley finish here, and I'll give you my answer.
Come on, nice shot. I'm not
Nicely
rooting
done.
for anybody particular. I just want to see them fill the frames in.
I would say the obvious answer would be 3.
It's obvious, but I'm going to give you a clue. That's not it, so give
My
you
next
guess.
answer would be 4.
No. Well, as I said, I don't think there's going to be too many people who got this right.
Okay, the maximum number of holes allowed in a bowling ball.
12.
12?
Yep, I've never seen one. But you may have 5 for gripping, so you may have 1 for every finger in your thumb. You may have what they call 5 vent holes, 1 for each finger and the thumb. All right, 2 pins here, and you may have 1 for balance purposes. And then they allow you to drill a little hole to test the hardness by any tournament that tests the ball for hardness, like the ABCs or the PBA.
Well,
so it turns out to be 12.
12
that's
holes.
It.
Well, congratulations, and for the 6th consecutive year, you win.
Yeah, well, you don't know how long it takes me to come up with
Wow, 12 holes. Okay.
I don't think there's too many people who got that one right. Let's see if he can make it. Oh, nice shot. Boy,
he has come through with outstanding efforts.
I want to say that. We are watching some outstanding exhibition of spare shooting by Fran, filling in the frames and making 2 very difficult shots, and that 3-6-10 is not easy. But Scott has got the X's, and now he's on his favorite lane, 16. He could take a commanding lead if he could put another one together. Coming in. A little light, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that was his first bad shot on that lane.
This could close things up.
Yes. It's a very close match. 9 pins if he can confront. This is not easy. You've got a sleeper behind there. And again, that 8 pin is back there. The 1 and the 2, so. Boy, it's getting quiet in here, Mitch.
Absolutely.
Nice spear.
Well done.
We're watching some superb bowling by both participants. It's unfortunate somebody wins, somebody loses, but in our case, we got 2 winners out here because they're both going to walk away with scholarships. But we're down to 3 frames to bowl, 9 pins, both boulders, showing us outstanding bowling. I just watched it, and so did you. Perfect shot.
Scott O'Connor from UE. And once again, Fran Exley from UE. We are in the 8th frame of this final matchup.
This is the lane he's been having trouble on. Oh, he broke that one up. Got 8 out of it.
Little breathing room. Left the 4 and 7.
Yeah. Fran is used to bowling and beating some tough competition. I don't think I've mentioned yet I have mentioned that he beat Tim McNeil, but the Tim set a new record of 1389 or 231 average in our qualifying round, and then he went up and lost to Fran. Nice spear.
Fran Exley keeps coming through.
Filling into frames, but he's running out of frames now to catch Scott.
Right, we are in the 9th.
And we have 11 pin difference here. 136, 147. Scott with a big strike, and again we're in this key 9th frame. Mitch, very key. Strike here keeps the pressure on Scott. Every time I've said that, they've got strikes, so I'm hoping my good fortune stays with me. Oh boy, nice shot though. He put it in there. As we say, he made the shot.
And left the 4.
All right, he still has a potential of 205 if he can bring this in now. This time I got the score correctly, so Scott would still need to finish out with 2 marks and good counts to beat that 205. Made the spear. All right, Mitch.
Continues to fill him in. Now.
Potential is 205. That's the max for Fran. Now, Scott, he could go spare strike, finish out with a 2-7. So he can close him out with a couple of good marks. And right here, if he could get a strike on his favorite lane, he'd virtually wrap it up. Let's just watch. He threw it out nice. What can I say? Determination on the face of Scott O'Connor shows exactly what it's all about. There, a little sigh, relief. Scott feels he's almost home, but not quite. Not quite. He needs a good count here. It's not completely over. He must just keep the ball in play and bang that head pin to sew up his first boys championship for him.
This is where the adrenaline starts working.
Yeah, let's see how he can do it. That's it. Well, Fran's going to finish with a good game, but Scott's going to have a better one. And Mitch, I want to mention now, Scott never had an open frame.
That's right.
2 games, and I didn't want to jinx him as we were going through it, but you can't ask for anything better than this. I mentioned good scoring, and this is what I meant. Scott could finish out here if he gets some more with 237 or 220 plus, 239. What an average bowling like this. Boy.
Whoa.
Nice hit.
All right.
All right. 232 plus average just by pulling the spare in. Forget it, still 230 plus. You don't see this good at bowling sometimes on the PBA tour.
On those other networks, we don't see
Yeah,
that.
they're professionals. We got amateurs, and remember that. They are amateurs. He even makes the spare in the end, 226.
226. Scott O'Connor.
Now, let's see. I want Fran to finish out here because he'll also have what we call as a PG or a full game here. PG standing for perfect game in this area. Not used as a term in all parts of the country. Let's see if we can finish it out. This has been his tough lane. I'd like to see him get it here just for the heck of it.
He got it.
He got it. Oh, boy. Well, he'll say to himself, that was the way to do it on that lane. That's what he's doing. See that? He'll say, hey, that's how to play that lane. That's what I say. Remember, 1 game matches, no practice of any significance was given to these participants on this pair. None. So if they walk out here cold, bowl like this, a lot different than normal.
A friend of the audience just yelled to him, 2 more, 2 more.
Yeah. All right. Get over there. All right. He'll finish with one of these probably.
Right, 7-10 split.
He's going to get a 190 some game. Respectable by far.
Absolutely.
Once again, we've had just truly outstanding performances by our participants, and the boys all did themselves proud out here tonight.
Go for the 7.
A little slow. He didn't really care too much. I don't blame him. 193.
Scott O'Connor of Union Endicott, the champion of the TB12 High School Bowling Championship Boys Division. You'll meet the winner, and we'll give out the trophies in a moment. Welcome back to Binghamton State Bowling Center. Mitch Gross and Chuck Bowman. You know, Chuck, as we expected, the boys were fantastic.
Well, they make us look good, don't they? I mean, Scott with no open frames, and Fran giving us a demonstration and exhibition of how to make tough spares, but the scoring by all of them was outstanding, and just as we said at the top of the show, we've got the best, and let's meet them again, huh?
All right, let's bring them on right now. 4th place finisher from Binghamton, Tim Lee. Tim, 4th place. All right. Congratulations, sir. And I'm sure we'll see you next year, okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go to 3rd place from Norwich, Brian Loomis. Norwich is Brian Loomis. Brian, come on up here. Congratulations, Brian. Thank you. 2nd place from Union Endicott. This man filled in frames like I've never seen them filled in before. Fran Exley from UE. 2nd place, a $200 scholarship and a plaque. Congratulations, sir. Thank you. And finally, our new Boys Division champion of the TB12 High School Bowling Championship. Let's bring him on. 1st place, Union Endicott, Scott O'Connor. Scott, come out here. And Scott's parents are in Florida. They're in Florida right now, so I'll bring in Jack Vandervoort, his uncle, and his other mother, as he calls her, Mrs. Haynes. Scott, outstanding bowling today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Your competitor was filling in frames, as I said, like I've never seen before. That had to put the pressure on you.
Oh, definitely. I just had to keep throwing strikes to keep the pressure off.
You know, before we went to work earlier this evening, you were sitting there with your Walkman on, kind of relaxing. Do you always do it that way?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. How about the future? Where are you going to school? Have you decided yet?
SUNY Binghamton, I hope.
SUNY B.
Yeah.
You can bowl while you're here still, okay?
Right.
Not in our tournament, but you can come back and watch.
Certainly.
Okay, Scott O'Connor, congratulations. Best of luck to you in the future, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. To both of you, thank you. You've got quite a bowler, all right? We have another hand for our champion, Union Endicott's Scott O'Connor. So, for Chuck Bowman, I'm Mitch Gross. Thank you for joining me. Good evening. You've been watching the TV